Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and today I have the opportunity to work on a high-speed Penn Jigmaster that's going to get hot rodded, which is a very interesting approach here. So we're going to show you how to take a 505, which is the high-speed ball bearing Jigmaster, and turn this thing into a Cortez Conversion fishing reel that, well, I think you'll be surprised by what we see. The 505 is the high-speed edition. It varies from the 500 by the use of ball bearings in the side as opposed to the setup that it has. This belongs to Howard. He sent me in the conversion, and well, we're going to go step by step to see if we can't move the pieces and parts over that need to be moved over and replace the ones that need to be replaced with the upgraded pieces and parts. As part of this conversion, we're going to change the side plates out. We're going to change the bearings out, and well, we'll see what else we're going to change out as a result. But the first thing you want to do is, well, take off the old pieces and parts. To do that, well, it's a single screw take apart system. You're going to unscrew the tag end, pull out, and just a quick quarter turn will help us remove those pieces. We're going to use reuse the bridges and gears. That's about it. So we're going to do our best here to walk you through how to do the conversion. And while I do that, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. And if you do subscribe to my channel, please use the notification button. That's going to let you know when I'm posting repair or service or custom videos. And well, you'll learn from it, and hopefully you'll be able to do it yourself. That's the whole idea behind the channel. The channel is there to show you how to do it yourself and to keep your reels fishing, or if you find one that's broken, give that reel a second chance. All right, let's start on the frame side first. The frame side has a traditional banded metal trim ring and a bearing system. We're going to remove that because the conversion system is different. I'm not quite sure what the materials are that are used in it. This should be a very attractive and fun reel once it is completed. I don't believe that we need to take the pictures here because I believe that there's new screws that are going to be included in all of this. I've taken a quick look to try and figure that out, but if you want to be sure or safe about things, the first thing you want to do is to take pictures along the way of what you're doing. That way you'll have reference points that can help you in the process. Okay, we've removed the pieces there, and I think while we have this open, we want to take a minute here to polish the metal, because the metal part of the frame is going to stay as it is and be reused. So I'm going to use a metal polish. In this case, I'm just using automotive polish, Turtle Wax Chrome polish. Come into the inside here and just do a quick little cleanup of the reel. The reel is in good condition, but while you have it open, it's the best time to go about doing the cleanup. And normally I'll work with a protective glove, and we'll do that when we remove the bridge when we get to the other side of the reel, the gear side. But for now, this is a relatively straightforward approach, and I don't think that's necessary. Well, I'm going to just use my parts tray here to put all the pieces and parts from that I remove into one side. They're certainly going to be returned to Howard. And then let's see what we have here. We have a couple of pieces marked ceramic bearings. We have a conversion kit here. It's got a lot of the side plate fixtures. It has the click ring, a replacement clicker, the bearing, and side plate screws for both sides. And the interesting thing with this one is that the trim rings are eliminated, but so is that one screw take apart. And let's see what this one says. Well, we're not using a Tiburon spool. It says if you were, You may need to use some spool washers, so we'll get that back to Howard. And then we have our eccentric lever as well. It looks like we will reuse the eccentric from the original reel. All right, let's start with the simple piece. Here's our bearing cap. Now there's bearings in here. There's 2 new bearings. I believe that these are included because he wants me to use these. These don't appear to be ceramic. These appear to be metal shielded bearings, but they're in here for a reason. So we'll go ahead and use these. That bearing goes into the cap. The cap goes on to the side plate. And that should screw in. That serves as a bearing holder and as a spool adjuster as well. I'll have to set the spool off to the side for a moment, and we can take that side plate now. I think this is going to go on to that cap. It's a shame that these things are not labeled very well. Let's take the old bearing off, see if there's a little ring in here. No, that's a straight on piece. Let me just see if that seems to line up. Yeah, that O-ring seems to line up. So let's just back up a moment here. See if we can put that O-ring on here. A little trial and error. I haven't done this Cortez conversion before. I have done conversions. But I'm looking here, that looks like the O-ring belongs in here. So let's see if we can't get that on. Seems pretty stiff. Okay, and what I did was I just turned it around and put it in the top that way. Okay. So when you're doing these things, you're flying a little bit by the seat of your pants, but also you're leaning on your experience. And, well, that's some of the things I tried to teach you through the process here, is transference of my experiences overall to help you. All right, with that tightened down again, the next piece up, I guess it can go either way. We have the click ring is going to go on. And it looks like we have 2 screws here that are substituted for the original click ring. And rid of those. The original click ring has the 1 screw in the center. This one has the 2 holes in the side. And this one's going to be looks like a torque screw, so I'm going to stop the video for a moment, get my tools for that. I suspect that we will have several starts and stops during the video, so I will apologize if it gets a little choppy, but I think each piece may require something, and well, if it stops, that's what you should do. You don't get rewarded here for speed, you get rewarded here for doing it right, and we want to make sure we have the right ones. I'm just using the Torx bit now and hand tightening that. We'll come back and use the driver in a moment. Let's snug that one up. We'll come back and do this one. So why Cortez? Why the conversion? It's going to make this a much stronger reel. It's going to make this less prone to corrosion, and well, it's going to allow you to fight some bigger fish along the way. Here is our slide now. This is the one that I guess some assembly required would help. I'm unsure which side of the loop, but it looks like it would be this side. That plastic part goes. We're going to leave those bearings out for a moment. This is held on by an E-clip. We're going to go ahead and take the clip off. Guess I can replace that. I don't see myself using that again. Here's our clip. It would have been helpful if instructions came with this. I'm thinking that this is going to go on the outside, like that. Lines up with the button. Seems to be a neat approach, but we'll know in a moment. We're going to put this back on. So seat the piece in. Let's bring this over and see if it operates properly. Put the E-clip back on. Need my pliers to pull that down. What I'm checking for here is making sure that that's in the ring properly. And it slides in and out nicely. So we're gonna take a chance here that belongs on the exterior piece here. And that would be a good place for it, because a lot of these clickers freeze up because the salt water gets in on that stem there. So that's kind of a guard there. We can put that driver back. And let's move on to the next piece of this. I think with the clicker on, this on, the bearing in, then this can get attached to the frame. That bearing's going to fall out again. I kind of sort of know it. But you'll see that all of these now utilize new screws as well. I'm just going to the tray to pull these out. Now I'm not seeing a short or a long screw here, so we're going to take it that all of these pretty much are the same. Just checking. Normally on these you would have a longer screw on the one side. Let's go back to that driver. That's not the correct one for this. So I'm just sorting through to get the right one. Put that into my driver now. And we'll start by putting these, I knew that bearing was coming out. Start by putting these to the left, right, and below. Hold that there for a moment. This is probably the hardest part of the whole darn thing, is just lining up your screw holes here. This is a ratchet palm driver. It's one that I've come to rely on over time in my shop. Let's get that next one in. And I'm working right now just to tighten these all up, set them down before we put the final tightening in on them. I just want to snug them down. I don't want to risk warping the side plate. This just doesn't seem right. They have these are long screws. I guess that's the way the kit comes. I'm just checking all of these to see if we've got a short screw somewhere. just from experience, I know that there should be shorter screws on the inner reel foot. You can see it comes through here, but I guess that's the way this one is going to be in the conversion. Well, this is going to be a fun project, but I hope you bear with me. I'm very interested to see what the results are going to be as well. If you have any questions on this reel or any reel, if you leave those in the comments section, I will try to answer those questions for you, and I will try to lead you to someone who can answer it if I don't know the answer to that. Sometimes the questions I get involved around, where do you get the parts or something like that, and does this part work with that reel, those kinds of questions. Sometimes I just plain don't know. I will try to help you find the answer to that if I don't. I'm going to back this off a little bit here. Just having a little bit of an alignment issue here. That's okay. There we go. All right. Patience and a sense of humor. That's what's required to do reel repair and service. Don't try to rush anything. One more of these over on this side. And then we'll turn our attention to the other side and see what we can do there. Should be fun. Before I go there, I want to make sure that these are all tightened down. So we'll finish the ones we started just to make sure that they're all tight. Again, I don't like those screws sticking through. To me, those screws sticking through mean that there's a risk that the line is going to catch it on a cast. Now, how much of a risk? Not much, but it is a risk. All right, so that's the inside then, and we'll take that bearing back now. Put the bearing in here, and that's how this mounts to the frame. To get to the other side, this frame has got to be removed now. And one of the differences with the conversion is that this goes to a solid mounted side frame rather than that single screw take-apart system. So we'll show you that in a moment. To remove the frame, there's a whole bunch of these small screws. There's 6 in total that hold this recessed frame onto the reel. And take those off. This should make a very nice reel. And again, all these parts go back to the owner in case he wants to put it back the way it was at some point in the future, or maybe he has other reels that could use these parts at some point. So we'll make sure that he gets those back. Okay, last one. And then we'll show you what's going on with the gear side transformation. All right. Trim ring, pieces and parts. Now we have the non-gear side complete. Let's clear the desk off. Here's our plate for the conversion of the gear, and right away you notice you do not have the single screw take apart. You rather have direct bolt in on the 2 sides and a direct bolt in on the bottom as well. Okay, best to do now is probably glove up because there is grease on this. I do want to make sure that that all gets cleaned out in the process. And they kind of got me here. I'm thinking this is going in from this side. It just simply makes sense that it would go in from this side as opposed to coming in from behind. Matter of fact, it can't come in from behind because that's the ramp for that eccentric. So not as much of a guess there in terms of how to establish that one. Okay, we have the lever here for this piece, I do not have a change of screw here, so we're gonna use that one. But before we do, we'll glove up so that as I remove the other pieces, I don't get that grease on at least one of my hands. All right, glove is on. Let's go get busy now. So the first thing we want to take off is this lever. I think that's a 7/16, 3/8. It's a 3/8, or whatever the metric equivalent of that is. That comes off. The lever is going to go back to Howard. 4 screws hold the bridge on. Let's take the bridge off. Looks like we reused the bridge screws. This is an interesting side tip here. He's got 50 pound marked on here, which tells you what your braid is. That's not a bad way to do it. I've seen other folks that put it on the reel seat. It's always good to know what your line capacity is, as well as the specs for that line. This one's straightforward. Some put it on the bottom here when they mount the reel. All right. We should be able to push the bridge out and away. Going to grab our jack, our yoke, our 2 springs. I'm going to go into my parts tray for safekeeping. Don't know, I didn't see another shield for this. I'm going to poke that piece out, the bearing. Just going to use a little rubber or a little wooden part to push that through. And I should be able to remove that bearing from the carrier. This is our eccentric. We can push that through now. It's got the eccentric spring behind it. Somebody just asked me on an Okuma reel about that. So the process is similar on how I'm going to install this one. So just stick around. Let me get some of these pieces off the desk here. I won't need that again. All right, let's pull this out the rest of the way, or push it out. This is the eccentric that gets reused. And the rest of this gets returned and doesn't get reused. Just going to wipe down the parts that we have here that we will reinstall. That's your yoke. I'm going to check the pinion gear. This is clean and free of debris. The teeth are all in good condition. Going to wipe down the jack. I can go in there. Remove our main gear and assembly. Why somebody would just go and do the conversion without doing the service would kind of scare me a little bit, but this has a lot of old grease and that on there, so we're going to service the reel in addition to doing the conversion. To do that, we want to push the pin out that's holding this bridge sleeve in place. You do that by using an awl or a point, pushing it through. And then when you get about there, you can generally remove it. And we just did a video on this one, how to set the anti-reverse dog. We use the paper towel first to wipe that off. Be careful with that spring. Sometimes as you're wiping, if you get aggressive, you're going to get that spring caught in a rag or something, and it's going to misform it. And then you're going to have to replace that spring. All right, that's all cleaned up. A little bit of grease onto your little bridge shaft there. You want to bring the bridge sleeve back on, but before we do that, let's use a cotton swab to make sure the inside of that is clean. Press your stud back in. And when you do that, make sure you're clear of this ridge. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get the main gear back on. We showed in that video, it's kind of simple to do the dog set. You just gather the springs so that it sits in this little indentation. You push down so that it mounts over the stud. And you can finish that with a drop of oil behind. I don't use the grease. You saw what happened with the grease when we removed this. This is what happens with grease. It just accumulates. I'm going to transfer over the washer that sits behind the main gear. Wipe down the main gear. Bring all of your washers out. We're going to inspect the internals of the main gear is good. Maybe just a little bit of dirt in there. We'll wipe that down with the piece. Check all of your ridges on your teeth. Make sure that those work. They're clean. If they weren't clean, you could take a brush and pull through to remove any dirt and debris. These are in good condition. I'm going to use fishing reel grease for this. I'm using Penn Precision reel grease. That's the blue grease. And I don't have a preference for one grease or the other. I use this one because it comes in 1-pound containers, and well, I use a lot of grease. If you don't use a lot of grease, you can buy the convenience pack. It comes with both the oil and the grease. And generally speaking, will fit all of your needs for several reels. As much as I told you about that little pin, well, I didn't quite get it all the way down. So again, I'm going to use my pliers to pull that in, and then it fits nicely. These are optional to grease. Since I have it apart, I'll do that. These are the HT100s. I'm going to use Cal's Universal drag grease for that. Just a light coating on it. The idea is to keep these from drying out and becoming brittle. Make sure you see the cross hatching when you apply the grease. If you don't have the Cal's grease, don't worry. Go use your regular fishing reel grease. Just that I happen to have that. First one is a keyed washer. There's two of those. They go high and low on the metals. We'll do this again. I use my glove hand as a tool. Again, wipe down so that you can see the cross hatching. The middle washer is the eared washer. It's the one that has the 2 points on it. That fits in the grooves of your main gear. One more of these to grease. Again, I dip it in, I spread it around. And then if there's any excess, wipe it off. That one came out pretty darn good. We'll put the last of the keyed washers in. The cap washers on. That bridge is set. Okay, so we've just put the bearing from that cap in here. The significant difference is that the cap does not extend through this plate. So it just mounts right into the conversion. Here's your eccentric. Your eccentric is going to mount to this little groove over here in the side. And then it's going to mount into that plastic carrier or bushing. Press downward, just like that. That's your set for your eccentric. Now, if your little eccentric arm here, again, I sometimes wish that those instructions were here. They're not. This has rubber O-rings that are not part of the original. I'm not sure what those are for. They don't appear to be for anything for this. With that bushing there, you'll notice you can't normally put this on because it's overextended. So So what you want to do with this is turn this upside down. Just pull it over a little bit so you can flip it. And then we can go back to the original here for that. I'm just looking, and it looks like I made a little bit of an error of omission. They have provided me with a stainless steel bridge plate, or I'm sorry, bridge shaft or sleeve. So that one's going to go back on. We'll take a moment, we'll pause the video. You saw how I removed the one and turned it. That should be the assembly for the free spool release arm now. And we can move on. Okay, the process for setting that stainless steel gear shaft was identical. I overlooked that because he gave me the new star adjuster. It was laying this way, I didn't see it, not a problem. So let's just review what we've done so far. We've taken the non-gear side, we've upgraded the bearing, we've changed over the click ring, we installed a new click piece onto the Cortez Conversion for the Jigmaster fishing reel. Note that even though we are working on a 505, which is the high speed, if you have a Jigmaster 500, I believe you can use the same parts, the conversion side plates, to accomplish this. I guess I would caution you to check with Cortez first, but I believe that's the case. All right, so we've also set our eccentric. You can see how that swings now. Now we can go back to our parts tray and let's reassemble the gear side of this. There's 2 springs that will fit in the cavities provided. Let's place those in there. Drop of oil onto that bearing we've seated. We've cleaned off the yoke. We want to re-grease the yoke. Again, please use fishing reel greases and oils. Can't tell you how many times I'm finding reels that come into me that have all kinds of stuff in there. Whatever you do, please avoid that white lithium spray grease. That's nothing but a nightmare. It doesn't work. Alright, those center over the springs that you placed in the cavity. And you take our jack, we're going to push down on that yoke. Push down on the yoke. Take the wide side of the slot over the stud on the eccentric. Pull it over and seat it so that the stud is here with the slot of your pinion gear facing out to accept the spool. There's 4 screws that were part of the original install. We're going to use those to reattach the bridge. You're going to take your bridge, and this just lays in now. You don't have to do anything because the anti-reverse spring is actually on the bridge. So just line it up, bring it in. Should have known better. There's a sleeve that belongs on there. Let's reset this. That's kind of funny, the bridge sleeve fell out anyway, but that's the way that the back end installs over those 2 points for hold fast. The 2 screws with the partial threads belong up top. They go through those springs that are installed on the other side. Let's see if we can't get one of those right in. If not, we'll hold this bridge in place with the other one. What I like to do is install by going in kind of an X pattern here. Let's hold the bottom of the other side down, that way we know it's coming in nice and square. it's not quite gripping this. Let's take a visual on it. Come on over to the other side, do that one. Bring it back in from the other side, top. And then finish tightening them. Okay, with the 4 of those now tightened, turn it. Make sure that it's turning okay. It is. And put that sleeve back on. You can take the time now to put the star adjuster on. Put a little pressure on there, you'll see that it can turn free and easy. The one part you're not able to put some grease on while you're doing the assembly is the shoulder of the jack, so just get a little bit of grease onto that now. And well, let's put it back together again then. We have our spool. A little bit of grease onto both sides. There's a bearing member on both sides, so just the tip is fine. And then get the shaft here where it's going to go through the pinion gear. Hold your line so that it doesn't get trapped in the assembly. Bring this over now. Bring this on, and now you'll see it's not a one screw take apart system any longer. We're using the full screws here. So we'll set this down, we'll bring this over, grab a screw. I'm going to use the pick to hold the other side of it so that I'm lined up. We'll get that screw started just like we did on the other side. Don't tighten it all the way down. Let's snug it up. We're good there. I'm going to come to the other side now. We're using these short screws here. There's 2 different screws now. The other one is a long screw. I'm going to hold all of this in. Do the same thing here. Use the one as a centering pin. We're almost done. It's an interesting conversion. We have 2 very long screws now for the base. So this almost has a base like the Penn 10. That's the wide base for the gearing. Let's get that second one started on the long one while we're at it here. And I have 2 more screws left, and this conversion is complete. Except for the handle, which I'll take care of in a moment, and then we'll give it a test. We'll see how it's doing. Well, if you're still with us, I appreciate you staying with us for this. It's been quite an adventure. This is the first one that I've done on this, so next time somebody asks me if I've done the Cortez conversion on a Jigmaster, yes I did. I've done them on the Senators. There's quite a few of those that I've done, but I haven't done the Jigmaster yet. Tough time here getting that one started. There we go. Okay, and we'll just go back along the ring and make sure that we get it nice and tight. Again, I'm going to go to the opposite sides just to make sure that it's all snug on the bottom. And just like on the other side, we have those screws sticking through there. All right, well, that's kind of the way it is. All right, let's put the handle on. I'm going to set it to the middle. That's where it was before. This has got a leveraged handle on it. It's got 3 settings. When in doubt, use the middle. Reset the bar, tighten down the drag. You don't want to trap that drag when you tighten down the handle, so make sure that you have the clearance underneath it. I'm going to use my wrench to tighten down the screw. I'm going to line that screw with the scallop and the screw hole. And let's get that little lock screw here, and that's the last piece that goes on this. Okay, wow, so you can see the difference here. You do not have that single screw take apart system. You rather have the full screw, full side plate version. What that's going to enable us to do is strengthen the frame up an awful lot. You have the solid 2 screw sidebars on there, that's all good. We retained the reel foot, the sidebars, the handle, and the main gearing and the bridge inside. Everything else has essentially been replaced. All right, let's see how we did here. We're in free spool. Nice, quiet, free spinning reel. Let's go into gear. Nice and tight. I want to tighten down your drag stack a little bit. Yep, that's good. And then back it off. You don't want to use that adjuster as some kind of a vise to press out all that grease like we just did. Beautiful reel. Nice conversion. Nice and quiet, solid and dependable. Howard should have a wonderful time fishing this reel. And let's make sure that clicker works too while we're at it. Yep, nice loud clicker. Or bait alarm. Oh, he's ready to go. Well, I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been quite an adventure. He sent me 2 more of these to do, I think. I can guarantee you the next ones will go a little bit easier. We won't be talking over the video. And now we know pieces and parts to be installed and where they go. We won't have to stumble over that. And I do appreciate you staying with me, watching the video. I also appreciate the work of our first responders, our police, fire, safety, and rescue, and all involved in public safety. What you do is just amazing, and I'll continue to say that. And I appreciate everybody who's been part of this channel and this channel's community. Thank you all for watching. I wish everybody a great day and fun fishing. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle.